أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. الحمد لله رب العالمين. الحمد لله الذي لم يتخذ ولدا ولم يكن له شريك في الملك ولم يكن له ولي من الذل وكبره تكبيرا. ثم الصلاة والسلام والتحية والإكرام على النبي الأمي المكي المدني سيدنا ومولانا ومولى الثقلين بالقاسم محمد وعلى آل بيته الطيبين الطاهرين المعصومين المظلومين الغر الميامين الذين أذهب الله عنهم الرجس وطهرهم تطهيرا. واللعنة الدائمة على أعدائهم من حين عداوتهم إلى قيام يوم الدين. أما بعد، فقد قال الله الحكيم في كتابه الكريم وقوله الحق. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. فاذكروني أذكركم واشكروا لي ولا تكفرون. آمنا بالله وصدق الله العلي العظيم. Respected elders, my dearest brothers and sisters, Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. عظم الله أجورنا وأجوركم بمصابنا بسيد الشهداء أبا عبد الله الحسين وأولاده وأنصاره وأعوانه. I pray to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to accept our condolences and to elevate our status in the remembrance of Sayyid al-Shuhada, in the remembrance of his family members, his children, and his loyal companion. We also pray to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to help us to follow the footsteps of Sayyid al-Shuhada, his family members, and his companions. I pray to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to bless us with the opportunity to follow the footsteps and also to seek guidance through Sayyid al-Shuhada, through these majalis, to reform ourselves and to bring purity in our lives through his remembrance. Please recite aloud salawat. And on my turn, as it's a famous saying, Man lam yashkur al-makhluq, lam yashkur al-khaliq. So I'm also very grateful to all of you, to the community at Baitul Qayem, to the administration, and to every single volunteer and individual who has served here. I am thankful for giving me this opportunity to be among you during these 12 nights. And I am grateful for the attention and for your great feedback in regards to what I was able to deliver. So whatever deficiency was there, please be generous and forgive me, and may Allah accept this all from us. Whatever good was there, it was through Sayyid al-Shuhada alayhi salatu wassalam. I pray for the success of this community. May Allah keep you united, and may Allah give you more blessings to have these majalis and remembrance of Sayyid al-Shuhada Salamullah alayhi. Salawat. In the late 18th century and early 19th century, a branch of knowledge was formed with the name of sociology or social sciences. And social scientists, they tried their best to figure out in the progression of a society who is playing vital role, either individual or the society itself. So a lot of research were made, a lot of surveys were done, a lot of papers and books were written, a lot of time was spent. However, we see that there were two opinions among the scholars of sociology. One would believe that all the advancement and the destruction in the society is caused by society itself. An individual has no role in that. So these are the societies which are driving human beings and its individuals towards success or the destruction. However, another group which became more famous in their opinion believed that no, individual, him or herself, plays the vital role to prosper a society or to make a society with destruction. So these two opinions were out there until modern and recent days. However, the famous opinion in that regard is that human being is an individual or a basic unit to form the family. And collection of family forms a tribe. And many tribes form the society, and society forms the state, and then universe is there. Therefore, the most important unit in the society or the universe is human being. Therefore, if a human being is prosper, society is prosper. If a human being is successful, ultimately the universe is successful. What is the definition of prosperity or success? It's one question. Another question, when we talk about the prosperity of human being or an individual or the basic unit of the society, we look towards a book which is unfortunately deserted by its own followers and is put on the shelves with great respect and is not read. When we look at this book, many years back, in fact many centuries back, this book is talking about the importance of an individual and talking about the prosperity of that individual, and through the prosperity of that individual, the prosperity of the society. So Quran says, this holy book, which is indeed Quran, is talking about human being, that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is saying that when I have created human being, I have sent him as my representative, Khalifatullah. So the purpose of the creation of human being was nothing but to perform the job of the Creator, because Khalifa is someone who does the work of mustakhlif an. So when we talk about Khilafa, there are three major particles. Number one, Khilafat itself, the work or the job. Other is mustakhlif an, the one who is appointing someone as Khalifa. And third is Khalifa. So when a person in this world appoints someone, his successor, appoints someone who can represent him. For instance, in another word, for the kids and the youth, that if a doctor is going on vacation, for instance, a neurosurgeon is going for vacation, and there is no one to take care of his patients, he would not ask a driver or a chauffeur to sit on his place and treat the people. Of course, he is going to ask a person who can cover his patients. So he is one who is mustakhlif an. He is appointing someone in his absence to take care of his chore. And what is the chore? The same chore which he is doing, now Mustakhlif an is away, Khalifa is going to do that. The representative is going to do that. So first thing which is required for that Khalifa is that if not at the same level, this Khalifa is having quality. For instance, that neurosurgeon is having 35 years of experience. However, the person who is appointing in his place, maybe this person is not having 35 years of experience. However, this person is also a neurosurgeon, maybe with lesser experience. But at the same time, it requires that person has same proficiency, same field, same excellence to deal with the patients. Similarly, when Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is saying that I am sending my Khalifa to land, to earth, it is inni ja'ilun fil ardi Khalifa, that I am going to send a representative. That means that a mustakhlif an, the qualities who he is having, now this Khalifa should have those qualities as well. So in this world we see that people, they are trying, as I have mentioned in one of the majalis, they are trying to make connection of apes and other animals with human beings. Whereas Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is saying that why don't you connect yourselves with me? I have made you representation and manifestation of my qualities. I have sent you to take care of my chores in this world. The appointment which I have given you, you have to fulfill that responsibility. So look towards your status. And indeed, when we talk about Khalifatullah, not every single one is Khalifa. So this is one of the very commonly misunderstood meaning that people, they would say that Quran says every human being is Khalifatullah. Not necessarily every person is Khalifatullah. And you see this day and age, people of ISIS, what do they say? That we are Khalifatullah. No. Khalifatullah is someone who is representing Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala's qualities and also manifesting those qualities and attributes which Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala in Quran says, if a human being is representing that khilafat of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, that human being will have status higher than the angels. But if the same human being lowers himself, instead of representing Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, forgets his status, Allah says that these people are becoming worse than animals. Balhum adal. They are like animals. They are like apes. So they have this pride that we are apes. So Quran is saying that if they are forgetful of their responsibility, they are not human beings even. Maybe their physical posture is like human beings. What we see in ISIS and other people who are having this oppression in the name of Islam, unfortunately, and who have nothing to do with Islam, who have nothing to do with humanity, in fact. So Quran very clearly has mentioned that these are not human beings. They are worse than the animals. Balhum adal. Therefore, Quran has put a lot of emphasis on development of one's soul, to be Khalifatullah on earth, to be the representative of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala on earth. Therefore we see there are the personalities throughout the history, by reforming themselves, by raising their status, they have become Khalifatullah. And there are people, they did not practice those qualities and they have become worse than the animals. Similarly, we see the example of Karbala, when Sayyidul Shuhada is becoming the manifestation of Khalifatullah, is representing the qualities and characteristics of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, and at the same time, on flip side, Yazid is representing the qualities of inhuman or the animals. So each time we see that it is the sunnat and tradition of Ilahi, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, that people would represent themselves from the groups. So now the question is, as I mentioned yesterday, inshallah, in last talk, I will give the conclusion and I will summarize as well. So inshallah, we get the maximum benefit of these nights. So we started with this very beautiful verse of Surah Al-Baqarah, which is 152. And purposely, I did not translate that verse in the beginning, until today. This verse of Quran, because I wanted to conclude with this. So I invited you by recitation of this verse every night, that you go and read and find out what you are finding through Quranic interpretation and through the talks which we had and the discussions which we had. Now let me translate this verse. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala in this 152nd verse of Quran, Surah Al-Baqarah is saying, فَاذْكُرُونِي أَذْكُرْكُمْ. You remember me, and I will remember you. See, if we remember Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, it's our job. It's our responsibility. Because He has created us. But what kind of favor we have done to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, who is saying, if you remember me, I will remember you. So see the greatness of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. He's saying that if you are remembering me, you are continuously in my remembrance, I will not forget you. وَاشْكُرُوا وَلَا تَكْفُرُونَ. And be thankful to me and don't deny me. Don't reject my message. Do not reject my call upon you. Therefore, when we look at this verse and now connecting ourselves with the very first day that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has created human being in the best of the postures. Among the creatures, unlimited creatures which Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has created in the universe, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is saying, لَقَدْ خَلَقْنَا الْإِنسَانَ فِي أَحْسَنِ تَقْوِيمٍ. Allah has created jinn, Allah has created angels, Allah has created elephants, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has created horses, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala created heavens and skies. But He never used this word. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has used this word that I have created human being in best of the posture. And He Himself greeted Himself. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has congratulated, and it shows that how proudful Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is after creation of this creation. فَتَبَارَكَ اللَّهُ أَحْسَنُ الْخَالِقِ. Allah says that I have created everything. But when I have created human being, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is saying that I am the best of the creators. So, best posture. And then Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala in another verse, Surah Al-Isra, and verse number 70. Bismillahir Rahmanir Rahim. وَلَقَدْ كَرَّمْنَا بَنِي آدَمَ وَحَمَلْنَاهُمْ بِالْبَرِّ وَالْبَحْرِ. That we have given honor, dignity to human beings. And we have given them this authority to go around oceans and go around the dry lands. And after that, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is saying that I have given precedence over rest of the creatures. So Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is saying that I have made you honored. I have given you dignity. So now my question is, after these three verses, if we ponder a little bit, why Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is proud of His creation after creating human beings? وَلَقَدْ كَرَّمْنَا بَنِي آدَمَ. We have given them honor. Why? Why not to horses? Why not to trees? These all are creatures, creation of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. But then why Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has not congratulated Himself after their creation? Because there is one thing which Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is mentioning in different verses in addition to that beautiful physical posture, that only physical posture is not the only thing. Therefore we have given this precedence to human being over every other creature. But إِنَّا هَدَيْنَاهُ السَّبِيلِ إِمَّا شَاكِرًا وَإِمَّا كَفُورًا. This is an ordinary verse. However, if you look towards the depth of this verse, you will figure out why human being is given precedence over all other creatures. Allah is saying that I have shown them the path. I have shown them the way. And then I have given them absolute authority to go on whatever path they want to go. إِمَّا شَاكِرًا وَإِمَّا كَفُورًا. I have shown them the way. It's up to them to be thankful and to accept that correct way, right path, or to deny that, reject that. So this free will makes a man أفضل المخلوقات, the best of the creatures. You see that an animal or a horse or any other animal or any other creature, whenever they want to do something, they do that. They don't think that what is our responsibility towards other creatures. However, we see on the plains of Karbala that Sayyidul Shuhada is thirsty, but at the same time he is thinking about the hereafter of the enemy. Sayyidul Shuhada at the same time, he is mindful about the army of Yazid, that what will happen to them on the day of judgment. So this is a human being that if he wanted to bring water, he would have given the permission to Abul Fadl Abbas to fight. However, this is restraining himself, keeping himself for a greater purpose. This is a human being that he has a free will, but at the same time for a greater purpose gives the sacrifice. So this is one quality. Similarly, the same quality applies to the actions of the human being. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says that I have given you free will. Now be my servant, be my slave, or be out of my servitude. How? Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is saying that I have promised you, I will show you the path. So path is right there in Quran. وَمَا خَلَقْتُ الْجِنَّ وَالْإِنسَ إِلَّا لِيَعْبُدُونَ. Allah is saying that if you want to listen to me, okay, I have created you for my ibadat. It's up to you, be my submissive servant or don't be, because I have created you with free will. It's up to you to do that or do not do that. However, if you want to do that, now you have to understand the meaning of submissive servant to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, which is the superlative or the greater degree of Islam. Therefore, Quran says, and this is something which we discussed in third and fourth session, that Islam is one thing, however, Iman is a greater thing. Islam is just testification or declaration of the faith, however, practicing that faith from the core of the heart, surrendering to Him is actually Iman. Therefore, Quran says that, O Prophet, when people are coming to you and they are saying that we are the believers, tell them that you just have declared Islam. You are Muslimin, but don't say that you are Mu'mineen. Just tell us that we have pronounced Islam. So Iman requires a greater effort. What is that? Surrendering. Iman. Amirul Mu'mineen Imam al-Muttaqeen Asadullah al-Ghalib Ali ibn Abi Talib alayhi salatu says Iman is taslim. Iman is surrendering to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala's will. And we have given the example of someone who buys a slave, takes him to home, and on his way, what do you want to eat, where do you want to live, what do you want to wear? And he says that, whatever you want to give it to me, I will take that. And that person thinks that I'm not his real master, but he is mindful of me. What about my real master? What he's asking for me. So this is the example of slave. However, in 5th and 6th lecture, we talked about that actual slave of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is having even higher status than the slaves of this world. Why? Because slaves of this world are having some kind of benefit in this world by accepting that slavery, or they are forced to do that. However, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala wants His slaves to be submissive to Him without any interest or without any fear. So we see Amirul Mu'mineen salawatullahi wa salamuhu alayhi says that I do not worship Him for the paradise, or I do not worship Him to be escaped from the hellfire, but I worship Him because He is worthy of being worshipped. And he says that this is the worship of a free man, because the first worship in which you do worship in the interest of paradise, it's the worship of a trader. You are looking towards some benefits. However, when you worship to escape from hellfire, it is the worship of a mere slave. So Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala does not want you to be a mere slave. In fact, these are the statuses which we have to achieve. However, Amirul Mu'mineen is showing us what is the higher status. What is the status he is possessing? What is the status he is asking us to elevate ourselves towards that? After that, we talked about that when we have discussed that worship or surrendering to Him is actually Iman, then what is the meaning of the prayers and practicing Islam in the form of ibadat? And I tried my best to remove this misunderstanding from my mind and from the mind of my youth, that praying too much of salat, fasting too much, or going on hajj or ziyarat a lot is not merely this is ibadah. These are the forms of ibadah. These are the different shapes of ibadah. However, our 11th Imam Hasan al-Askari salawatullahi wa salam, says, لَيْسَتِ الْعِبَادَةِ كَسْرَةُ الصِّيَامِ وَالصَّلَاةِ بَلْ إِنَّمَا هِيَ التَّفَكُّرُ فِي أَمْرِ اللَّهِ. That if you have pondering in affair of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, that is greater ibadah. And then we discuss what is that tafakkur. What is that tafakkur? And we discovered that Imam is saying, when you have tafakkur or pondering in affair of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, be careful. Do not ponder in His being. Fi zatillah. Because if you do that, you will be perished. In sifat of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala and asma, the names and the attributes. And when we discovered that we have to get knowledge of His characteristics and names, then how to learn that? We figure out when we talk to our imams and seek guidance through them. Imam Sayyid al-Shuhada Aba Abdullah al-Husayn salawatullah, when he was asked that what is ma'rifatullah, what is the recognition of those asma and sifat, and he says, ma'rifatu ahli kulli imamin, ahli kulli zamanin imamahum. Knowing the imam of your time is actually ma'rifat of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And then we discussed that why. Knowing imam is ma'rifat of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Number one, imam is the manifestation of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala's sifat and asma. If you want to have idea of the knowledge of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, then you have to look towards Madinatul Ilm. And when you want to learn about the knowledge of Madinatul Ilm, you have to look towards Bab Madinatul Ilm. That when Amirul Mu'mineen is sitting on the member of Suluni and says, Saluni, Saluni qabla an tafqiduni, that come and ask me whatever you want to ask. I would tell you of heaven better than of this world. It shows the extent of the knowledge of Amirul Mu'mineen, which he has gotten from Madinatul Ilm, Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wa sallam. So number one, they are the manifestations of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala's sifat and asma. Therefore, if you want to know about Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala's knowledge, how you would see that? We cannot see that through Imam alayhi salatu wasalam. If you want to see the bravery of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, hayat of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, compassion of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, then come and look to these Ahlul Bayt who are fasting for 3 days, but when the time of iftar comes, they give their bread out to miskin and yatim and asir. Because they are the true manifestation of the compassion of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So if you want to learn about mercy of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, come and look towards Ahlul Bayt. If you want to see the dedication of a manifestation of the dedication, you have to come and see. If you want to see the utmost level of submission to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, you will see Ali standing on the chest of Amr ibn Abdawat and about to behead him, and he spits on his face, gets up from his chest and makes a circle around, and then come and kills. And when he was asked why you did not kill, he said, I did not want to kill him out of my own anger. I wanted to kill him only for Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. This is the utmost dedication. This is the manifestation of that dedication which Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala requires from His servant. Second reason why we have to have ma'rifat of ma'asum and imam to reach to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is because their ma'rifat is direct ma'rifat. They haven't got their ma'rifat through other sources. As we get that ma'rifat through looking at the tree, it's the creation, cause and effect. We see the effect and then we look towards cause. We see the smoke and then we say there is a fire. We see a tree, we say that there is a creator. We see a cloud, we say there is a creator. However, since they were created before everything, before even realm of time and space, so they know His ma'rifat greater than everyone else. and they don't need any means, because Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has inspired His ma'rifah directly to them. So if we want to have true ma'rifah, they have become a source and connection in between us and Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And therefore, hadith is saying that one who is not aware of the Imam of his time, Man mata wa lam ya'rif imam zamanihi mata mitatan jahiliya. One who does not recognize the Imam of his time, not one who has not recognized Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Hadith says one who has not recognized the Imam of his time, as he has died the death of ignorance. And I mentioned that ignorance doesn't mean that he is not having a degree or he's not graduated from school. No, that death of Jahiliyyah means that he's not on Islam. He has no knowledge of Islam. Maybe he is reciting kalima, but if he doesn't know the Imam of his time, he is lost completely. And we have evidence in Quran, يَوْمَ نَدْعُ كُلَّ أُنَاسٍ بِإِمَامِهِمْ, that on the day of judgment, a person is coming with his Imam. And if he doesn't know Imam, with who he is coming? We have a hadith, if someone declares a rock as his Imam, he will be resurrected with that rock. We have to be careful. We should not make, sometimes we say that you are my Imam, or Imam, you are my Imam, but at the same time, we have made our ego our Imam, or the wealth our Imam, or our own desires our Imam. So we have to be surrendered to Imam, we have to recognize him. So when we reach to the ma'arifat of Imam, now look towards the teachings of Imam through Quran, how they are guiding us towards themselves. They say that first thing which you have to keep in your mind, if you are coming to us with ma'rifah, first thing you have to purify yourself. Because Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has promised us that none of the rich or najasat will come close to us. And He has promised this in Quran, إِنَّمَا يُرِيدُ اللَّهُ لِيُذْهِبَ عَنْكُمُ الرِّجْسَ أَهْلَ الْبَيْتِ وَيُطَهِّرَكُمْ تَطْهِيرًا. So none of the rich, najasat, forgetfulness, error, mistake cannot come close to us. So if you want to be close to us, purify yourself. So this is the very important requirement. If we want to take benefit of Imam, we have to purify. Oh, Imam, guide us how to purify ourselves, how to cleanse ourselves. And Imam says, don't be disappointed. If you are connected to us, we will tell you how to purify yourself. We will help you to be purified. Therefore, I have said that in a hadith we have repeatedly these kinds of sentences from Imams, that don't call yourself that you are perfect, that you are the best of the Shias. No. Call yourself muhib, so you have room to improve. You are not proud of that you have achieved that status and you don't need any purification anymore. So a mu'min is always in the status of hope and fear. That he is always mindful that this action which I am going to do, will it be pleased or will it be accepted by my Imam or not? Therefore I said that when we say that Amirul Mu'mineen, who is our Imam, and we are proud to be under his vilayat, and we are thankful to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala for this greatest blessing that, oh Allah, you have given this vilayat of Amirul Mu'mineen. That vilayat has some requirements. And that vilayat is not only to sit in the Imam Barg or Masjid, that vilayat is extended to my school, to my workplace, to my family relations, to my relations with neighbors. In all relations, in all affairs of my life, I should practice that vilayat of Amirul Mu'mineen, salawatullahi wa salamuhu alayhi. And then Amirul Mu'mineen is saying that now, if you want to be purified, to be connected with us, we will do that. We will identify your diseases. And we will help you to remove those diseases from your hearts, so you become purified and get connected to us. Therefore, he is saying, oh, the Prophet is Tabibud Dawar. This is something which I quoted last night. That he is the best of the doctors, who is worried about his patients more than patient himself. He wants to treat his patients. Patient doesn't want to be treated. He wants to treat this patient because he wants this to be connected with him. Therefore we see our imams, our Prophet is more concerned about our hereafter than ourselves. What interest do they have? No, they don't have any interest. Or only interest which they have, because they are the utmost or the maximum manifestation of the mercy of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. That mercy requires, that compassion requires that they should think about our hereafter. And they should help us. Therefore, when we take one step ahead, they come 70 steps ahead. They say, just call upon us, just remember us, and we are there for you. Just cry, wake up, shed one tear, just open Dua Kumail in Thursday night, just call upon us, just say one Ya Hussein with sincerity. Only one Ya Hussein with sincerity, and we are there to guide you. What did Hur say? Only one Ya Hussein. So, with that sincere heart, call upon him. So, this is one of the tasks of the prophets and then imams, to remove those spiritual diseases from our hearts. And then we talked about few diseases as well. However, the main focus in that is our effort. That what do we want? Do we want them to treat ourselves? Yes, their generosity is extended. And I have given this example that if you sit next to a blind person, you know that next to you there is a person sitting. However, that person doesn't know that how close you are. We do not see that how close imams and Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is to us. Our eyes are closed. There is veil in front of us. However, they are not far. All we need is to call upon them. All we need to open our eyes. If we open our eyes, we will see them around us. We will see mercy of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala 24/7 around us. Because if it was not for the mercy of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, we would not survive. Even for the duration of blink of an eye, or minimum unit of the time. All the times it is connected to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Holy Prophet says, Allahumma la takilni ala nafsi ila tarfata aynin abada. That even to a blink of an eye, don't leave me upon myself. Keep myself connected to you. So this is among the du'as which we have to do. And one last thing which I mentioned last night is dua of ma'arifat. Allahumma arifni nafsi. So I have requested to memorize this dua and recite, if not on daily basis, minimum once in a week, because it is very important to keep ourselves strong during the time of occultation. We have this through a hadith of our sixth holy Imam, Imam Ja'far ibn Muhammad al-Sadiq to keep ourselves reminding that we are waiting for him. We need hujjah. Oh Allah, help us to recognize you. Help us to recognize our Prophet. Because if we have not recognized you and the Prophet, we will not recognize the hujjat of the time. And if we do not recognize the hujjat of time, ضَلَلْتُ عَنْ دِينِي. We are lost in our faith. We are lost in our religion. So it is of utmost importance that we recognize the Imam of our time. Therefore, and let me finish my talk with that remaining part which we discussed yesterday, that one of the greatest diseases of the soul is forgetfulness or negligence. This negligence could be towards our responsibilities. Ghaflat. This negligence could be towards the Creator. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, when Holy Prophet Ahmad Mujtaba Muhammad Mustafa sallallahu goes to Mi'raj, and you are aware that Mi'raj is one of the very important occasions when Holy Prophet went there. Very important communication held in between Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala and the Prophet. Allah says, La taghfal abadan. O Muhammad sallallahu alayhi wa sallam, go and tell your nation about this red line, this boundary. They should not cross that. Allah says, tell them, don't be negligent to me. Don't forget me in any case. فَمَنْ غَفَلَ عَنِّي. Because if someone forgets me, لَا أُبَالِي فِي أَيِّ وَادٍ هَلَكٍ. Allah says, if someone forgets me, I do not care in whatever way he is going to be destroyed. So it is very important that we should not forget all the times. Remembrance of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is very, 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 very crucial. I cannot explain the intensity. You are aware of that, as I have said, even for the blink of an eye. So, if we should not be neglectful or negligent to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, then how to remember? What are the ways? I have a lot of responsibility. I have my office, I have my children, I have to earn, I have to work 24/7, I have to have all other responsibilities. Yes, Allah knows that, Allah understands that, He is merciful. He says, do few things, and then keep me in your mind always. Don't forget me. So among the things which are required or which are recommended to perform to have that remembrance of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is praying on time. Always try your best to pray on your time. That means that whatever work or task or chore you are doing, if you are praying on time, you are telling, oh Allah, I remind you, I remember you, I keep you in my mind. My first priority is to remember you. Or reading, mashallah. And the best among salawat is salawatul jama'ah, coming to mosque, coming to the congregational prayers. And also, one of the things which is also helpful to remember Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala always is reading Quran. So if you always read Quran on daily basis, 50 verses, no more than that. Whatever, 50 is too much. Start from Surah An-Nas, I understand. Surah An-Nas. From the last chapter of Quran, because mu'min is smart, and it reminds me, salawat ala Muhammad wa alayhi. MashaAllah, he's professor and smart, so I have read a little bit, so I'm smarter, so let me tell you that. So I was in seminary in Qom, and during the month of Ramadan, one of my teachers says that, and it's a hadith, that in the month of Ramadan, look at the mercy of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. It's another topic itself about Ramadan. One manifestation of that mercy, Allah says that during ordinary days when you read Quran, you recite one verse, you get reward of one verse. However, during the month of Ramadan, when you read one verse, you get reward of finishing one Quran completely. So our teacher would tell us, be smart and start from the end and keep reading, because these are shorter verses. So you can read like 50 verses within 5-6 minutes. However, the point is, just open the Quran on daily basis. And nowadays it has become very easy. We have tons of apps in our phones. Just install one of the apps of Quran and open that. It should not be like as Quran is on the top of our shelf all the time, having dust on that, or just going and leaving from home, just having Quran on the top of your head. So, yes, Maulana, I have 50 apps of Quran. But brother, how much time you are spending on those 50 apps? Since you have installed those apps in your phone, how many times you have opened those apps? Have one app, but try to open that before you sleep. It doesn't take more than 5-10 minutes, but it will keep you always remembering Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Another way is visiting graves, which is unfortunately, sadly, nowadays, it's not very much practiced that we do not go to the cemeteries, we do not go to the graveyards. कहाँ जाना है? इसको याद रखना है कि कहाँ जाना है, क्या आखिरी मंजिल है. अगर वो आखिरी मंजिल याद रहे, कब्रों पे जाने की या कब्रिस्तान में जाने की अहमियत इसी हवाले से है कि इंसान जाकर के देखे कि मेरे घर अपनी जगह पे, मेरे दफातर अपनी जगह पे, मेरी बेहतरीन कारें अपनी जगह पे, लेकिन एक दिन मुझे भी यहां आना है. वो दिन है कि जब मुझे यहां पर आना है, जब इंसान अपनी मौत को याद रखता है तो कभी भी खुदा को भूल नहीं सकता. अपनी मौत को याद रखना बहुत जरूरी है. और इसलिए उलमा की ये प्रैक्टिस थी कि उलमा जाते थे, और बहुत से लोगों में ये, उलमा में ये एक आदत थी, और पुराने वक्तों में आपने अपने बुजुर्गों से सुना होगा, बैक होम्स, ये इट वाज अ प्रैक्टिस टू प्रिपेयर अ ग्रेव फॉर यू, अ सिंबॉलिक ग्रेव. पीपल दे वुड हैव graves in their homes sometimes. The whole concept was to remember the death, to remember that place. So now we do not see. Occasionally, very rarely we go to a funeral and then we see the grave. However, we are so busy having our calls at that time or just engaged in tasks, we do not realize where we are. However, just spend some time and go to the cemetery and sit there, read some Quran. And you will see it will change your life at all. So if you want to be connected to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, so these are few ways. And definitely the best with Allah which Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has given specifically for the lovers of Ahlul Bayt is Majalis of Sayyid al-Shuhada alayhi salatu wassalam. So these are the best way. That scholars, they would come, they would tell you, they would remind you that, brother, there is another abode. That is the permanent abode. That is the final destination. If you are taking care of your soul, if you are taking care of your body, a very simple disease is inflicted, and you are afflicted with that, you will go to the doctor, you will call, you will have examination, you will go to the lab. It's very good. Because it's the trust of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, you have to take care of that body. But at the same time, that body is going to remain only for how many years? 60, 70, 80, 100, 120, no more than that. However, your soul is going to remain very long after that. If I am concerned about that body, how much am I concerned about that aspect of my being, which is going to stay? And Quran says, يَوْمَ لَا يَنْفَعُ مَالٌ وَلَا بَنُونَ إِلَّا مَنْ أَتَى اللَّهَ بِقَلْبٍ سَلِيمٍ. Who is coming with pure heart, who is coming with that purified heart, purified soul. So therefore, we have to give importance to that aspect as well. So this was our whole purpose of this topic which I started, remembrance of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala through Majalis of Sayyid al-Shuhada. To continuously remind us of that greater purpose for which we are created, for which Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is asking us to. فَاذْكُرُونِي أَذْكُرْكُمْ. You remember me, I will remember you. And if we do not forget Him, it's a promise. When He is advising us that keep your promise, uphold, do not break or violate your promises, how do we expect that He will forget His promise? No, He will never forget His promise. This is a promise by someone who is the creator of As-Sadiq and Al-Amin, who is the creator, who is Inna Allah ala kulli shay'in qadir, who has power over everything. So if He is saying, if you are remembering me, I will remember you. What a great blessing of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And I have said that we have seen that promise fulfilled on the plains of Karbala. Many times. Among them, so giving the example of Sayyid al-Shuhada in this majalis is that you will see how Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has fulfilled His promise. فَاذْكُرُونِي أَذْكُرْكُمْ. O Hussein, you have remembered me on the plains of Karbala, I will remember you. Throughout the history, people will come and they will remember you. तुमने मेरे नाम को बुलंद रखा, मैं तुम्हारे नाम को बुलंद कर दूंगा. और हुसैन ने बताया कि याद खुदा किसे कहते हैं, अल्लाह के नाम को बुलंद किस तरह करते हैं. नोके नेजा पे चढ़ के कुरान पढ़ के. हाँ ज़ादारो 13 मुहर्रम आ गए. आज शबे 13 मुहर्रम, शबे 13 हो गई. आज 12 का दिन था ना, और इस्लामी हवाले से तारीख तो शुरू हो गई. आज चांद के साथ 13 मुहर्रम. और 13 मुहर्रम का दिन वो दिन है कि जिस दिन ये लुटा पिटा काफिला कूफे में पहुंचा. कभी सोचिएगा इस बात पे कि ये काफिला जो 11 को चला, या बाज रिवायतों में 12 को चला, 13 को कूफे पहुंच गया करबला से. जरा तसव्वुर कीजिएगा कि आज के दौर में भी जो रास्ते बने हैं 80 किलोमीटर से ज्यादा का फासला है. और ये काफिला कैसे गया? गाड़ियों पर नहीं गया, ये काफिला ऊंटों पर गया. और ऐसे ऊंट जिनके ऊपर अमारियां नहीं हैं, जिनके ऊपर महमिलें नहीं हैं. और जरा एक दफा तसव्वुर करें कि कितनी रफ्तार से इन ऊंटों को बगाया जाता होगा कि ये एक दिन में या 2 दिनों में कूफा पहुंचे, और ना कोई आराम, ना कोई तवक्कुफ, مقصد کیا تھا؟ مقصد یہ تھا کہ ان بے کجاوا اونٹوں پہ بیٹھی مستورات کو اور خواتین عصمت و طہارت کو تکلیف دی جائے. مقصد یہ تھا کہ وہ بچے جو ان اونٹوں کی پشت سے باندھ دیے گئے ہیں وہ گریں اور ان اونٹوں کے نیچے پامال ہو. بہت سے بچے راہ کربلا سے کوفہ تک میں پامال ہوئے. ہاں عزادارو، میں نے آپ کے سامنے کہا اور آپ کے آنسو بہے اور آپ نے اس کرب کو محسوس کیا کہ ان بے کجاوا اونٹوں کو جب بگایا جاتا ہوگا تو کیا اذیت ہوئی ہوگی، کیا مشکل ہوئی ہوگی. لیکن عزادارو کبھی تصور کیا ہے کہ ان ناکوں کے ساتھ چلتا وہ بیمار امام، وہ پیادہ امام، اور عام حالت میں بھی نہیں، ایک ایسا توقع خاردار ڈالا گیا کس رفتار سے اس امام کو جانے پہ مجبور کیا ہوگا. اجرکم اللہ. آزادارو کوفے کی منزل بہت سخت تھی. ویسے ہی انسان کے لیے چلنا تھوڑا دشوار ہوتا ہے اس سفر کے لیے، اور جب گردن میں توقع خاردار ہو، پاؤں میں ہتکڑیاں ہو، پاؤں میں بیڑیاں ہو، ہاتھوں میں ہتکڑیاں ہو، اور اس حالت میں اس رفتار سے چلایا گیا سید سجاد کو، اس بیمار امام کو. اور میں سمجھتا ہوں کہ یہ کرب اپنی جگہ، لیکن ایک کرب سید سجاد کو اس سے بھی بڑھ کر ہے کہ جب یہ جوان بیٹا، جب اس کاروان کو مقتل سے گزارا گیا، جب یہ جوان بیٹے نے اپنے بھائی علی اکبر کا بدن دیکھا ہوگا، اپنے بابا حسین کا بدن دیکھا ہوگا، اور سر نیزہ جب سروں پہ نظر پڑتی ہوگی تو یہ کیا سوچتا ہوگا یہ بیمار امام، کس تصور سے یہ اپنے آپ کو سنبھالتا ہوگا. روایتوں میں یہ جملے ملتے ہیں کہ کسی ایک موقع پہ جب جناب زینب نے دیکھا کہ سید سجاد پوری طرح سے محو ہیں، اپنے بابا کے سر کی طرف دیکھے چلے جاتے ہیں، بی بی نے محسوس کیا کہ اگر اسی طرح دیکھتے رہے تو شاید غم سے جان ہی نہ نکل جائے. اور محافظ امامت ہے نا، ایک دفعہ کہا سید سجاد اپنے آپ کو سنبھالو. مولا نے کہا پھوپھی اماں کیسے ایک جوان زندہ ہے اور اس کے باپ کا سر نیزوں پہ بلند ہے. ہاں زدارو، ایک روایت کے مطابق کہ حبیب کا ایک بیٹا تھا، اور جب اس کو معلوم ہوا کہ اس کے بابا کو شہید کر دیا گیا تو وہ کچھ ساتھیوں کے ساتھ مل کے شمر کے پاس آیا اور ابن سعد کے پاس آیا اور آ کر کے کہا کہ مجھے ہمارے بابا کا سر دو. اور اس نے نہ دیا. کہا کہ ہم اس قبیلے سے ہیں جس کے جوان بہت جری ہیں، ہم اپنے بابا کا سر لینے آئے ہیں. اور جب نہ دیا تو اس نے اپنے ساتھیوں کے ساتھ مل کے تاریکی میں حملہ کیا اور اپنے بابا کا سر لے گیا. ہاں جاتے جاتے وہ ایک جملہ کہہ گیا کہ ابن سعد یاد رکھنا، جن کے جوان بیٹے ہوتے ہیں ان کے باپوں کے سروں کو نیزے پہ نہیں چڑھایا جاتا. میں کہوں گا اے حبیب کے بیٹے، ذرا سوچا ہوتا سید سجاد بھی پاس کھڑے ہیں، کیا سوچتے ہوں گے کتنا مظلوم ہو گیا زمانے کا امام کہ باپ کا سر نیزہ. اجرکم اللہ، اجرکم اللہ. بس عزادارو، وہ منزلیں شروع ہوئی کہ جن منزلوں سے بیویوں کو گزارا گیا، اور آپ تصور کر سکتے ہیں کہ اونٹ کی کوہان ہوتی ہے، آسانی سے بغیر محمل کے بیٹھا نہیں جاتا. تو یہی تاریخوں میں ملتا ہے جو بچے بیٹھے تھے جب ان اونٹوں کو بگایا جاتا تھا، وہ بچے زمین پہ گرتے تھے اور پھر انہی سے اونٹ گزر جاتے تھے، یہاں تک کہ یہ کاروان کوفے تک پہنچا. اور کوفے کے تک پہنچتے ہی اس کاروان کو حکم دیا کہ اب رک جائے. عزادارو، جیسے ہی کاروان کو روکا گیا تو پوچھا گیا کیوں کاروان کو روکا گیا؟ عزادارو، ایک بڑا عجیب سا جواب آیا. اس سے پہلے ایک مرحلہ وہ تھا کہ جب امیر المومنین کو خلافت ظاہری ملی اور وہ کوفے میں اپنے ایک دارالخلافہ کو بنانے کے لیے آئے تو ابھی خاندان کے افراد نہ آئے تھے، اور کچھ عرصے بعد خاندان کے افراد کو بلایا
اور جب یہ خاندان کے افراد کوفے تک پہنچے تو مولا نے حکم دیا کہ دن کی روشنی میں کوفے میں میری مستورات نہ آئیں گی، اس کاروان کو باہر ٹھہرایا جائے۔ بڑا غیرت والا امام تھا نا۔ ہاں زیادہ اس وقت بھی کوفے کے باہر ٹھہرایا گیا، لیکن اس خیال سے کہ کسی کی نظر ان پہ نہ پڑے، لیکن آج بھی کوفے کے باہر ان لائنوں نے ٹھہرایا۔ اور جب ابن زیاد سے پوچھا گیا کہ کیوں کوفے کے باہر ٹھہرایا، کہا بھی مجھے بازار سے جا لینے دو، ابھی لوگوں کو چھتوں پہ جا لینے دو، ابھی مجھے پوری طرح سے گلیوں کو آمادہ کرنے دو۔ اور جیسے یہ علی اور نبی کی شہزادیاں کوفے کی گلیوں میں داخل ہوئی، اب جس کے ہاتھ میں پتھر ہے وہ پتھر برساتا ہے، جس کے ہاتھ میں ابلتا پانی ہے ابلتا پانی ڈالتا ہے، اور وہ بیویاں جو ان گلیوں میں شہزادیوں کے طور پہ آیا کرتی تھی، آج ہاتھوں میں ہتھکڑیاں، پاؤں میں بیڑیاں، گلے میں توکے خاردار، سید سجاد، آئے کوفہ، آئے شام۔ انا للہ و انا الیہ راجعون۔ وسيعلم الذين ظلموا أي منقلب ينقلبون۔ انہی آنسوؤں کو اپنی آنکھوں میں لیتے ہوئے اپنی اپنی حاجات کو دلوں میں لے آئیے۔ آپ نے گریہ کیا، سید الشہداء کو یاد رکھا، یقیناً اس کا انعام ہے، اس کا اجر ہے، اس کی اجرت ہے، وہ طلب کیجئے۔ جو جو حاجات ہے جناب سیدہ یقیناً تشریف رکھتی ہے۔ اللهم إنا نسألك وندعوك ونقسم عليك باسمك العظيم الأعظم العز الجل الأكرم۔ 10 مرتبہ یا اللہ 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 یا رحمان یا رحیم یا مقلب القلوب ثبت قلوبنا علی دینک۔ بار الہ تجھے واسطہ محمد و آل محمد کا ہمارے اس قلیل سے ذکر کو اپنی بارگاہ میں منظور کر۔ بار الہ حق تو یہ ہے کہ حق ادا نہ ہو سکا، ہم نے اپنی سی کوشش کی، بار الہ اس کوشش کو اور اس سعی کو اپنی بارگاہ میں قبول و منظور فرما۔ بار الہ ہمیں اس دنیا میں بھی غم حسین کے ساتھ باقی رکھ اور کوئی غم نہ دے، اور آخرت میں شفاعت حسین ہمارے نصیب میں فرما۔ بار الہ تجھے واسطہ محمد و آل محمد کا اس غم سید الشہداء کے صدقے میں ہماری پریشانیوں کو دور فرما۔ بار الہ غم سید الشہداء، یاد سید الشہداء کے صدقے میں ہمارے مریضوں کو شفا عاجل و کامل عطا فرما۔ یا اللہ اس سید الشہداء کے ذکر کے توسط سے ملت اسلام کی تمام مشکلات پریشانیوں کو دور فرما۔ مومنین اس دنیا میں جہاں جہاں پروردگار ان کے جان و مال عزت آبرو کی حفاظت فرما۔ مسلمانوں کو آپس میں اتفاق اتحاد پیار عطا فرما۔ بار الہ دشمنان اسلام کو قابل ہدایت ہے تو ہدایت عطا فرما، بار الہ قابل ہدایت نہیں ہے تو آئسس جیسے دشمنوں کو نیست و نابود فرما۔ بار الہ تجھے واسطہ محمد و آل محمد کا ہمارے بچوں کو، ہمارے جوانوں کو سیرت علی اکبر پر چلنے کی توفیق عطا فرما۔ بار الہ ہماری بہنوں کو، بچیوں کو سیرت جناب سیدہ زینب اور سیرت جناب سکینہ پہ چلنے کی توفیق عطا فرما۔ ہمارے بزرگوں کو سیرت حبیب ابن مظاہر پہ چلنے کی توفیق عطا۔ بار الہ تجھے واسطہ محمد و آل محمد کا ہمارا انجام بخیر فرما۔ بار الہ تجھے واسطہ محمد و آل محمد کا اس دنیا میں قیام عدل اور قیام امن عطا فرما، اور اس کے لیے، اس قیام کے لیے ظہور حجت کو جلد از جلد ہمارے لیے میسور فرما، اور ہمیں جناب حجت صلوات اللہ کے انصار و اعوان میں سے شمار فرما۔ گناہان کبیرہ و صغیرہ کو معاف فرما۔ تقبل ربنا تقبل منا انک انت السمیع العلیم۔ آمین یا رب العالمین برحمتک یا ارحم الراحمین۔ ماتم حسین۔